In the 2023 film You People, nice Jewish Ezra and Amira, a black woman from the Nation of Islam, embark on a romantic relationship jam-packed with interracial and intercultural conflict like it was the I-5 at rush hour in LA. Welcome to Hip Hop Movie Club. This is a show for Gen X hip-hop fans who want to relive the glory days and reconsider classic and modern hip-hop films from a current-day perspective. Together, we'll explore some of the larger societal issues raised in these films. If you've seen today's movie before, then you'll learn some fascinating trivia you might have missed. If you haven't seen today's movie before, then we'll help you decide whether this film is worth your time. Either way, you'll be a smarter hip-hop fan by the end of this episode. In the next 30 minutes or so, you'll get all this and more. We are three old heads who put their old heads together to vibe on these films for you. I'm Dino Wright, serial podcaster, student of film, and I maintain that the best MTV Cribs episode is the Red Man one.
I'm JB, 80s and 90s nostalgia junkie, longtime hip-hop fan, and I clearly remember watching the Beastie Boys perform Fight for Your Right to Party live on American Bandstand on TV.
I'm Boogie, a DJ, longtime hip-hop fan, and my favorite hip-hop DJs are DJ Scratch and DJ Jazzy Jeff.
In this episode, we'll answer the question, will Ezra and Amira's love conquer their parents and their cultures, or will they be forever stuck in traffic?
You People is a romantic comedy film depicting an interracial couple, as Dinah Wright mentioned, from vastly different religious and cultural heritages, and how their families navigate these clashes. All right, let's get into it. Let's just shoot off some questions regarding this film. Jonah Hill plays the character of Ezra, and I'll ask you, Boogie, is his character likable? Yes or no?
Nah, not really. He's a little annoying, to be quite honest. I mean, you root for him because of the movie, and because you know it's Jonah Hill. You root for him because of the movie. You love a rom-com ending, but yeah, overall he's kind of annoying.
Yeah, my take. He's a compulsive liar. Actually, he keeps lying to Amira, lying to the families, and even quits his job without having something super substantial lined up that's bringing in some money that would support the couple. So yeah, I like his, style. You know, he's into the hip hop and urban culture, his kicks and stuff, but he wasn't someone that I would want my daughter to date.
Yeah.
What do you think, Dada? Right?
Yeah, I'm confused about how they wrote this character. You think you'd want to root for him, but you really don't. And so I was kind of on Akbar's side, like, this guy isn't good enough for my daughter. So yeah. I didn't think he was that likable. He had some moments, but overall, I don't think he was that likable.
He did have some moments when he professed his love or proposed. Like, I thought that he had a really good speech, but other than that,
yeah, at the core of his being, I think he was likable, but he just covers it in so many kind of manipulations and lies. And when you actually see the real him, like, he can actually play basketball, he actually has a heart of gold somewhat. It was like, I just felt the character was really strange.
Yeah.
Strangely written, but yeah, you like some of his style.
Too many layers of BS.
Yeah.
So you got to peel back all of that to get to the core. Is like, dude, like, why don't you just put the core out there and stop fronting?
Yeah.
Yeah,
he was fronting a lot. That's what I wrote that down. his co-host, his podcast co-host, like, would call him out on it, or at least they had like real conversations. And I felt like the rest of the movie was not real,
right?
In a filmic sense.
Yeah, you're right. The only person he's keeping it real with was his co-host. Yeah.
I mean, there were some big things he was lying about, like, the ring was from the Holocaust. It's like, you don't really lie about the Holocaust and stuff like that. Like, why would you
why would you lie about that? Like,
that's cringy.
Yeah, why would you lie about that?
That's very cringy.
Yeah.
Like, dude, you could have just got a bigger ring. Like, why lie? Just
be truthful. So Ezra's character, Jonah Hill's character, his mother is played by Julia Louis-Dreyfus, Shelley is her name. She was super cringe and clueless as she tried to assimilate herself and learn, quote unquote, learn more about the African culture and heritage. And my question is, like, could she really be that cringe or clueless? What do you think, Boogie?
My knee-jerk reaction is to say yes. And that's only because I've seen so many viral videos of people doing similar acts. I mean, yeah, yeah. I you want to say that no, people really can't, and that this is all scripted, but it's so many viral instances of things happening in 2020. It's like this is 2023, and people still think this way. People still do this. People still say this. People still ask this, and it's like, yeah,
I agree. It's really true to life, but I felt in the context of the movie, it felt like over the top. And so it sort of ruined the kind of construction that they made about these intercultural clashes. And so it was almost too much. Or maybe they showed just one of them, one of the great like faux pas that she has. It was a little over the top. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's rooted in truth, and we've seen a lot of these viral videos of people acting a fool like this. So very cringy.
that's true. There are people that are really closed-minded or sheltered, I guess, live a sheltered life. They were conservative Jews, so they were like kind of strict and probably stuck to their own core. Don't see that many black people, and so
Yeah, I mean, she
just
she
totally
she seemed to
clueless.
mean
Yeah.
well,
yes,
but just sort of tried
Mhm.
to overcompensate a lot,
yeah.
so much.
Yeah, just tripping over herself with everything she says and just making it
Yeah,
worse.
it,
Like,
it's
oh,
like
I
she was
like your
doing too
hair. Like,
much.
yeah,
Yeah,
I researched how to do
Yes,
black girls' hair, and like, it's just like, oh, just
it's
stop,
too
just
yes.
stop.
much, doing too much.
The
Yeah,
epitome and definition of doing too much. But
exactly.
yeah, she definitely was her heart. I think her heart was definitely in the right place though. Like she was trying, but she was trying way too hard. She was checking off every box, every
Right.
scenario she checked off.
What not to do. So, based on that, do you think this relationship between Ezra and Amira could really last, given everything we saw in the movie? What do you think, Boogie?
I want to say no, but I've actually heard of a couple of relationships that are very similar as far as the cultural and religious backgrounds from both sides coming together. Now, I don't know if they had to deal with any. I mean, I'm pretty sure they had to deal with some obstacles. All of, as much as that happened in this movie, I would highly doubt it. But yeah, I would say that it probably could. I mean, I think they really have to just maintain their focus on one another and just kind of take everyone else's opinion about what's going on with a grain of, with a grain of salt. You say, this is team us, and let's just make it work. And in extreme instances, cut people off.
Yeah, what do you think, Donna? Right?
I think if he had been as truthful as he was at the end when he told off Akbar, then it would have lasted. But all the artifice and the trying to front, you would think from there you wouldn't have a relationship that would last. So I guess it could last if he was a bit more real about it. But it's a lot to overcome, and you would you wouldn't be surprised if something like that didn't last. But love's supposed to conquer all, so here we are.
That's what I was saying. If love could conquer all, this was a big hill to climb because the two religions are so diametrically opposed. Well, especially when they're so deeply rooted in them. When they're, Minister Farrakhan, who has made anti-Semitic remarks, and then you have the conservative Jews, which stick to themselves, and it's like, wow, how do you reconcile these two things? And it didn't seem quite possible. But if everybody was a little bit more open-minded and they kind of educate each other more and more, and it could work, or maybe Ezra and Amira again go off on their own. So possible, but it would be an uphill battle. So we saw Lauren London playing the role of Amira. We saw her in ATL. What is she best known for? Or, what do you think of when you think of Lauren London?
I
Boogie?
know earlier in her career, she was a model, and that's when I first came across her. So I've been a fan of her from her modeling days. She was in like a lot of the urban magazines, King XXL, Black Men, etc. So I became a fan of her from back then. But yeah, I would probably think out of her movie roles, I would probably say ATL. Well, ATL in This Christmas, because This Christmas was she's a pretty prominent role in that as well. But yeah, I would probably say ATL and maybe This Christmas.
Yeah, she did a good job in this one. And You People. Donna, Wright, any other comments about Lauren London?
ATL for sure, but I most associate her with Nipsey Hussle, being Nipsey's girlfriend. But
yep,
yeah, it's been a few years now.
The late Nipsey Hussle, and they had a child together. And there was this discussion about that. It's like this was maybe filmed too soon afterwards, and there was a little bit, I guess, controversy like that. Why would they have her playing this big role? And she wasn't quite into it. And there was even controversy about the kiss towards the end. That's not real. It's potentially CGI. And maybe we could put something in the show notes about that. There was an article about that. The chemistry wasn't really real.
Yeah.
Which I could see.
Yeah.
So Jonah Hill. Jonah Hill's been around for quite a long time now. Shows our age. What do you guys remember as your first time seeing Jonah Hill on film, and what's your favorite role that he's played in the past?
I'm not sure what the first.
He's been in a lot of things like Moneyball, 21 Jump Street, 40-Year-Old Virgin, Superbad, Wolf of Wall Street, among others.
Superbad might be my first time seeing him.
Me too.
I love Superbad. I watched that movie so many times. Oh my goodness. That's probably my favorite. That's probably my favorite role for him is probably Superbad.
It's such a great character.
Probably that, and then followed closely by Get Him to the Greek.
I never.
Okay. If you want an over the top movie, that's a good one to watch.
Speaking of LA. I actually haven't seen many of his movies. Superbad was one of them, but the other one, a 40-Year-Old Virgin, I saw, but I don't really associate him with that movie.
Yeah, I don't really associate him with that either.
So it must be Superbad for me.
Superbad or Knocked Up? I remember.
Oh yeah,
a movie Knocked Up.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, right.
He was funny in that. Yeah, he's always good for a lot of raunchy dialogue.
Yeah.
And like double takes. Like, wait, did he just say that?
Yeah, he, especially the Superbad role. There was no other character or comedic kind of portrayal that was like that, and it felt very relatable. Like you knew a guy that was like that.
Yeah.
Right. You knew a guy that was a little bit raunchy, and he's quick on his feet. He's really funny, kind of charismatic. So yeah, it's Superbad for me.
Yeah. Wolf of Wall Street, he played a pretty good role as well. It's funny. Speaking of Superbad, I saw the McLovin license. I saw someone with a license plate that said McLovin the other day, and I was trying to take a picture of it while I'm driving, which I shouldn't do. But it literally said McLovin. I was like, "Oh my god,
nice,
good.
Yeah,
that's good.
Yeah, McLovin.
Yeah, McLovin.
All right, so Eddie Murphy's in this role, and I was kind of surprised to see him like in a Netflix movie, which was a big win for Netflix. Now, I was just thinking to myself the other day, I'm like, I have a son who's 18, and I'm like, what would be like a good introductory role for a younger crowd for Eddie Murphy? Like, you wouldn't have him watch Raw or Delirious, maybe not even like Beverly Hills Cop. Like, what would be a good Eddie Murphy introduction?
You don't think Beverly Hills Cop?
Well, maybe. I didn't know if it was too much of an adult thing. Maybe that'd be a good one, actually. Yeah, age 18, sure.
Yeah, Beverly Hills Cop would be a good one.
That's a good one. Coming to America, right?
Coming to America, definitely.
Yeah, so for me, Coming to America
that's
is
classic.
That's the one.
Yeah.
If I had to pick one Eddie Murphy thing, it would be Coming to America.
Yeah, Coming to America. That's classic Eddie. So many like one-liners in that movie. So many.
Once you get past Coming to America, you need to. Although it hasn't aged that well, Raw and Delirious haven't aged that well because of the anti-gay stuff. But other than that, besides that, Trading Places or Beverly Hills Cop would great next steps. Sorry, go on.
Yeah, I was going to say, I asked my son, when I say Eddie Murphy, what do you think of? And I thought he was going to say Donkey from Shrek, but he said Coming to America, which I was proud of.
Okay, that's good parenting by you.
And then he also said Daddy Daycare. He's like, low key, Daddy Daycare. I was like, all right, yeah.
Yeah. That kid was pretty funny. That's pretty funny.
Now, Nutty Professor and Dr. Dolittle also were good ones for like younger crowd.
That
also,
came out a long time ago now. At this point,
yeah.
Nutty Professor was when?
I think one of my favorite Eddie Murphy roles that is actually fairly recent, and it's actually not even him. He's not even playing a comedic role. Is the movie called Mr. Church. It's pretty much of a serious tone, and he plays a man who kind of, I guess, raises a young girl as her mother is, ill, and the relationship that forms between the two of them. It's a very good movie, and I'm surprised like there was no kind of Oscar or Golden Globes buzz or anything for that movie when it was released, because it's a solid film.
Yeah, I haven't seen it.
I saw that in the filmography. I didn't really know much about it, so I'll have to check that out.
I stumbled across it one day. I was like, you know what? I'll put it on. And I started watching it like halfway. I'm like all teary eyed, and the heck? It's like, what is going on?
Yeah. That's like, this one was a serious role, and he does a lot of time. Yeah. He's known for his comedy, obviously.
I looked it up. Nutty Professor came out in 1996. 1996.
Wow.
I can't believe it.
Man.
Which was a remake from a film from the 60s, right?
Yep. Jerry Lewis originally.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep. So in You People, we also see, as we mentioned, Julia Louis-Dreyfus here. Are you guys a Seinfeld TV show fan or not? As it seems like you're either like all in or you're like, nah, it was okay. Like, not too many people on the border. Boogie, were you a Seinfeld fan?
No, I wasn't a fan, but I wouldn't if I was sitting down and it happened to come on, I'd watch it. And then I would actually enjoy the episodes when they came on. I just never like sought it out. Like I never felt myself going out of my way to find when it was coming on next or anything like that. But if I was sitting around and I saw that it was on, I'd watch it. Or if I went over, was hanging out with someone else and they had it on, I would watch it and I would laugh and enjoy it. But no, I wouldn't really consider myself a fan though.
How about you, Dutta, right?
I was a fan. Oh yeah, during its original run, and then you can find it on reruns so much now that anytime you want to watch Seinfeld, you can find it. So yeah, I was a fan.
For myself, as much as a comedy fan as I am, I was not a big fan. I watched an episode here or there when it was out. I was much more of a Friends fan at the time because it was a little bit more relatable. Like, that's the kind of scene I kind of like. But I'm not one that would quote. So many people like quote all the Seinfeld episodes and scenes. I'm like, I'm lost on them. But that being said, in the early to mid 2000s, I discovered Curb Your Enthusiasm with Larry David, who was the creator of Seinfeld, and I love that show. Like, I could watch a marathon of that and just lose my mind over it. So I really like.
You probably, if you like Curb Your Enthusiasm, you should probably start at the beginning of Seinfeld and go through it because it's like a much less
tamer,
cynical and less distilled version of Curb, but it is, you can see where that all came from if you watch the old Seinfeld stuff.
Another surprise role, I guess, in You People was David Duchovny playing the role of Ezra's father. How about X-Files, which was huge around the same time frame as, I guess, as Seinfeld or so? Fan of that, Boogie?
X-Files, I actually was a fan, and that's because I didn't get into it right away, but when I was rooming with Wrestler, Augie, I don't know which one of them started the other watching it, but they were watching it, so I kind of got hooked on it watching it with them. But yeah, I definitely enjoyed the X-Files in the movie, and I haven't caught any of the newer stuff, but yeah, I was a fan of that back then.
I was too, but not right away, and it was on my list of things to see, and I finally got into it senior year of college. That's how I got into it. So I never went back to go through the original like episodes before I started, and I haven't watched the new stuff, but It definitely called me a fan.
For X-Files, yeah.
It was good TV.
Yeah, I never really got into it. I don't watch too much of the sci-fi. Like I don't get heavily into the alien type stuff or even Star Trek and Star Wars. I'm not as big a fan as a lot of folks are. So yeah, not for me. But I hear that theme song in my head a lot, and I know exactly what it is. Yep. We have to mention Nia Long, so let's talk about Nia Long here. So for listeners of our podcast, Boogie is the number one Nia Long fan, member of the fan club.
Charter member.
I was going back to the different HHMC episodes that we've done starring Nia Long. Boys in the Hood, Friday, Roxanne, and now this one, You People. She played Eddie Murphy's wife, Amira's mother, and she did a great job as usual.
Yes.
I was joking that she just jinxed the Celtics because of that whole thing that happened with her ex. They were about to come back from down 3-0 versus Miami Heat, and then they lost, got obliterated at home in the final game. Anything else to add about Nia Long? I know we talked about her multiple times, but
Yeah.
incredible as
Yeah, I
usual.
mean, I just actually finished watching some Nia Long fairly recently. It came out not too long ago, but there was the movie The Best Man and the subsequent Best Man Holiday movies. But they released on Peacock the best man, the final chapters, and it's 8 episodes to just kind of wrap up that whole Best Man franchise. But yeah, she was great in that, and I mean, it's Nia Long. I mean, she's on camera. I'm following her wherever she's walking and sitting and talking. But it was a great, and actually coincidentally, Sanaa Lathan in this as well. So my head was on swivel the whole time.
Actually, I think I overdid it with the Neil. You're Sanaa Lathan's like biggest fan, but I know you're a big fan of Neil
Now
Long
Nia Long's
also.
up here.
Yeah.
He also pays that membership
Yeah.
fee. He's
Okay.
also
Yeah.
in the Neil Long fan club.
There we go.
Get the lifetime membership.
Absolutely.
Yep. So yeah, I think we went through all the different kind of rapid fire questions that I had. There were some other like small cameos in this film. I think these were like the members of the Jewish congregation early in the film when they were like at synagogue for Yom Kippur. Hal Linden was in it. He was known as Barney Miller for many years ago.
Watched a lot of Barney Miller.
And Elliot Gould.
Yeah.
Yep. Elliot Gould, who we haven't seen in quite a while, and he was in MASH. And I remember, speaking of Friends, he played Ross's dad on Friends. He was married to Barbara Streisand for a period of time in real life.
Rhea Perlman. Also in this movie.
Yes. Mike Epps is in it. Mike Epps seems to be in a lot of these movies lately. He was Uncle EJ.
Talk some sense in Akbar.
Yeah.
Right.
Is he the one that calls Ezra the White Barry White or something? that was a great line. Just because his hair is like that, kind of wild.
Oh man!
Yeah, there was a little. Anthony Anderson played a barber in this one.
Mm-hmm.
That's a real small role.
Right. Yes. Yeah, Deion Cole had a brief cameo as the wedding planner, the cousin who was the wedding planner.
Yep. Yeah, they fool Ezra because it was a Crips barbershop and they had him wearing the wrong colors.
Yeah.
They called him White Cuz. Yo, what's up with White Cuz over there?
That was quite a trap they brought him into.
Yep.
Man. So White Cuz.
White Cuz, yeah. So this movie, like, although it had its flaws, there were a couple moments that you were literally laughing out loud. And then there was one part where they're in the car. I think it was Eddie Murphy with Jonah Hill's character, and they're playing "Ends in Paris" song, and Eddie Murphy's trying to get him to say the name of the song a few times. Yeah, that was funny. Yeah, definitely interesting dynamics going on in this movie.
Oh, there was also, I remember there were couple of castmates from ATL reunited in this as well. Khadija Hawk McCrae, who played one of the twins that hung out with Nunu, he had a small
Yes.
cameo
Hmm.
when they were doing the whole bridal party part. She was at the bridal shower scenes with Lauren London's character, and I was like, "Oh, look at that! Look who that is!" Two of them from ATL. Who's in it? I was just watching ATL earlier today. Was it yesterday? No, earlier today I was watching it.
Nice. Could this be made into a Netflix series? Would we see a series based on this movie? What do you think, Boogie?
I think it could. I mean, I think that it would have probably been easier to make a series for it than a movie, and just kind of flesh out some of the development, so we wouldn't have so many questions about Ezra's character. Probably show him doing some actual good things. As opposed to the constant lying
Yeah,
that we witnessed throughout the film. Show him as actually being a nicer person, so that we want to actually root for him a little more, and as opposed to just rooting for him by default, which is kind of what I was doing when I was watching.
that's a great point.
Yeah. What do you think, Dynamite? Could it be a series?
I think it could if they take the tack where they really dig into these intercultural and interracial issues instead of sort of just glossing over them or kind of trotting out the anti-Semitic tropes and playing them for laughs. I think if you really dig into it, it might be a pretty valuable kind of Netflix series. But yeah, when you put it into a movie like this, you sort of smush it together and it's very distilled and it seems over the top, like what Shelley's doing, like constantly making a mess of things. So I think if you stretch it out into a series, you could probably get better character development out of it.
Yeah, I could see that. A little backstory of the upbringing and then what happens after what we see in the movie would make sense. One other off-putting thing I wanted to mention about Ezra was the scene with the
Yeah.
cocaine use. That he had a dealer at the bachelor party type thing, and I'm like, wow, that was really. I know we talk about it's L.A., but that was really off-putting to me. But yeah, it could be a series, or maybe like and this has probably been already done before, but a reality show where you have people from vastly different religious and or cultural backgrounds, and they get together, and then you kind of follow around and see all the pitfalls and how they navigate through it.
Yeah, reality shows.
Something like that. But
with Farrakhan as the wedge, it's very simple. It's like it works very well to kind of have that in between. So other cultures having clashes like this, it's the black Jewish one is the easy one so to dive into because there's been a lot of history there. Yeah, it's great fodder for stuff like this.
And then you always, it's like the black Jewish could work, like Sammy Davis Jr., right? or like these guys, it's like one person.
And one person.
That's funny. Yeah. funny. But there we go. So before we do our ratings, before I forget, I want to give a shout out to Iceberg, who part of the Two Utes. He received the Freddie Award for outstanding use of lighting for his work on Fiddler on the Roof and the spring musical at his high school.
Mm-hmm.
Freddie Awards Freddie Awards is an annual award show, honors achievement in high school theater in the Lehigh Valley area. There are 29 schools involved, so that was quite an accomplishment. Kudos, Iceberg.
Taking it home.
Yep. Iceberg. All right, so let's do our rating here for You People, which just came out this year, beginning of the year. Boogie, would you say bring that funky flick back?
Bring that funky flick back?
Or leave it in the vault?
You know what? I think I would probably bring that funky flick back. I would probably watch it at least one or two more times just to see if I missed anything in it. But after that, I may leave it in the vault.
I hear that. All right, done all right?
I'm going to leave this in the vault. And we didn't mention this, but they meet because he thinks she's his Uber driver and that's supposed to be a meet cute. I thought, come on, does that really happen? And I couldn't buy it, and so I was soured on it right away. So I'm leaving it in the vault.
All right, so this is probably one of my closest calls also, but being that it's so new, and I like some of the music, we didn't really get much into the music, but I will say bring that funky flick back. I have a short leash on it, though, just like Boogie did.
Yeah. I mean, talking about the music, though, real quick, though, they had some Nipsey Hussle on the soundtrack. Last time that I checked, that's probably one of my favorite songs off of that Victory Lap album. So I was like, wow, they, got some nip in there.
And the Payback by James Brown is a terrific track. So just for that, it's worth it. The soundtrack is real good. So get on that.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I heard Too Short on this one too, with the song Cuss Words, which I remember.
Actual Barry White.
Yeah, actual Barry White. not white Barry White.
Snoop, Pharrell, Khalid, Ludacris, Rick Ross, T-Pain, and Andrew Day. I mean, it's got a few people on here. There's some good stuff on there. Frank Ocean,
yeah.
Yeah, I kind of like the way it was filmed. Like the cinematography was pretty solid.
Cinematography was great. I like that.
Yeah, there are some good technical things about this. It was a nice kind of, as people have said this before, but a love letter to L.A. And we really didn't get into the part where they're like podcasters about hip hop and culture and stuff like that. Just kind of listen to us talking about a hip hop podcaster.
Yeah. Well, one buddy of mine told me about this. I guess a few weeks after it came out. He's like, "Did you see this? This is what you guys." It's like the guy's like working in like finance, and then but he does a podcast about hip hop culture, and you got to check it out. And that's what I told you guys. We got to do this one.
My favorite part of the movie, Mo, his co-host, was my favorite part of this movie, and she was not in this very much. But this was more about her. Sam J.
Played by Sam J.
Shout out to Sam J.
Yeah, she was great.
Yeah, maybe the Netflix series focuses on her more.
Yeah, you get to see a little more Sam J. Yeah.
Hip Hop Movie Club is produced by your HHMCs, JB, Boogie, and Dino Wright. Theme music by Boogie. Check us out on Facebook and Instagram at Hip Hop Movie Club. On the next episode of the Hip Hop Movie Club podcast, your HHMCs review episode 1 of Dear Mama, the saga of Afeni and Tupac Shakur. It drops in 2 weeks. Subscribe today in your favorite podcast app and you won't miss it. Shout out to you listeners. Thanks for tuning in.
And remember, don't hate, reverberate.
Yes.
Reverb.
Shout out to Brain Freeze Trivia in the Lehigh Valley. Check out the Instagram, brain_freeze_trivia_time. That's Brain Freeze Trivia time on Instagram.